Hey, some of the fellas from the office are coming over to drink after work, so have something prepared by then. Got it? We need enough booze for 5 of us plus snacks, so get it ready.
Oh, Rich, you can't just tell me these kinds of things so suddenly. There's not even anything in the house.
Well, that's why I'm texting you now and telling you in advance. You still have time before we all get to the house anyways. So maybe you should quit all of your grumbling and start getting ready.
Honey, you do know that I have a 100-degree fever right now, don't you? I've been using the day to rest and recover. I just don't have the time or energy to be able to go to the supermarket and prepare the house for a party. Is it too much to ask your coworkers to come over to the house on a different day?
Oh, so now it's all about what is convenient for you, is it? You need to learn to take responsibility for your lack of ability to prepare. The fever or whatever it is you have is your business to deal with. But it's your duty as a wife to serve your husband and whoever he brings over as guests. Do you understand?
Well, it's not like I really chose to have a fever so I could take the day off or anything.
Besides, everyone at the office is always telling me what a good wife I have and how good your cooking is. So that's why I'm bringing people over tonight, so they can see what an amazing chef you are. So please don't tell me that I invited them to our house for nothing, sweetie.
That's very nice of you to say, Richard. But sometimes I think you see me more as your personal waitress or maid than your wife. Do you know how hard it'll be to get the house clean before you all arrive? And then once you're all done eating, I'll be the one doing the dishes and cleaning up after you guys.
I don't think you see the point. Isn't everything you just said exactly what a good wife should be doing anyways? It's really not that big of a deal, so I don't get why you're pretending like I'm asking for anything huge.
I'm trying to tell you that you and your friends are going to drink, get messy, and leave everything for me to clean up. And I just don't think I have it in me to do all that on a day like this when I'm already feeling so sick.
Okay, listen to me. You're the wife. That means that taking care of the house is your job. It's the same everywhere you go, in every household, so quit all your bickering. You're a full-time housewife, so I don't want to hear your excuses.
Richard, I think I've explained this to you more than enough times. I stay at home all day because I work from home. But today I feel very sick, so I took a sick day to recover.
And I think that just proves what a joke your so-called job really is. If you were really working hard at it, then they wouldn't have let you take the day off so easily. In case you didn't know this, Toots, the real world isn't that easy. A real adult would suck it up and go to work even if they had a 105-degree fever.
I don't think anyone with a fever that high could be useful to anyone. Besides, didn't you take a sick day a couple of weeks ago when your temperature was only 98? I think you're holding some double standards for how you and I should act.
You don't know anything. I'm basically a super genius at my job around the clock, so excuse me if I feel entitled to a little rest day every now and then. And you don't even have room to be talking to me with the tiny little fever that you have right now. If you're feeling a little hot, why don't you just try running around outside for a little bit until you cool down? That's the easiest way to get a fever down, everyone knows that.
I really cannot even believe what I am hearing right now. Do you really think that? Besides, there is no way I can go out running in this condition.
Then why don't you get off your lazy butt and try walking to the supermarket and back home instead? You have so much time to respond to my messages, so I know that you must not be doing much around the house right now. If you have a fever, it should be way more difficult for you to be using your phone than it would be for you to do housework. You don't sound so sick from your messages.
Rich, I am literally lying down in bed and texting you, and that's it. And what do you even mean by using a smartphone is harder than doing housework? That literally makes no sense. There's no way you can actually believe that.
What are you talking about? And it's just the truth. That's the way the world works.
What are you even talking about right now? You've never once offered to even help me with the work around the house. That's why there's always so much for me to do and why I complain about it so much.
Well, duh, I'm a guy. I shouldn't be doing any housework in the first place. Everyone knows that that kind of work is for women. And since you're a housewife, that means that your job is to do all of it.
I've told you at least 100 times that I am not a housewife. Whatever, I'm sick of this conversation. I don't even think you're really listening to anything I have to say right now. I guess I'll just shut up and get all the chores done now.
I'm glad it seems that you're finally starting to talk some sense again. Anyway, while you're at the store, make sure to get some sliders and those peanuts that I really like. You know the ones. Then, I want you to prepare some kind of veggie platter from freshly chopped veggies. None of that prepared garbage. And don't forget to get lots of beer and a few bottles of wine, too.
That seems like it'll turn into a lot of shopping. Leave it to me. Hi, Sally. I'll be coming over to your house in just a little bit. Carl ended up catching too much fish on his last outing. I was hoping you wouldn't mind if I share with you. Oh, hello, Louisa. That's very kind of you. Unfortunately, I've been feeling pretty under the weather lately and don't have the energy to do much. I hate to ask, but is there any chance that you could bring them by another day? Excuse me, and just what do you mean by that? That's what you have to say to your mother-in-law when I tell you I want to bring you over a gift? Am I just some kind of nuisance to you or something? What? No, of course you're not a nuisance. It's just that I have such a horrible fever right now. I'm afraid that even if you did come all the way over, I wouldn't really be able to greet you how I'd like. Oh my goodness, you have a fever! Well, I hope you're making sure you do everything to see that my little Richie doesn't get sick from you. He's not like you. He has a real job that he has to go to every day. If you got him sick, then he wouldn't be able to work hard and feed both of you. Right, yeah, okay. Thank you. I'll be sure to be careful. Although Richard seemed pretty healthy when he left for work today, so I think we're okay. You better make sure he stays healthy. But to think that you caught a cold when all you do is putter around the house all day. I will say that takes some guts to get sick like that. What? No, it's nothing like that at all. I think it happened because Richard locked me out of the house the other day. He came home drunk and yelled at me to go to the store to pick up some things for him. And while I was out, he bolted and chained our front door and went to sleep. Oh, wow. Are you actually trying to complain about my own son to me? You really do have some nerve, don't you? Did you ever once consider that maybe that is something you should have thought of and prepared for? It's your own fault that you got locked out of the house, don't you see that? That's not really the point I was trying to make. I only mentioned that story because we don't normally chain the door shut after we lock it. So I just never really expected to be locked out like that. So you're just proving my point. It is all your fault. Besides, Richard shouldn't need to know about whatever it is his wife needs. Why don't you just get divorced if all you want to do is whine, huh? I'm sorry, Louisa. I think I have a few things I need to think over. I'm sorry, but I think I just need rest for the rest of the day. Oh, don't you worry. I'm still planning on coming over and I'll teach you all about how to be a good wife. No, please, that's really not necessary. The house is still so messy since I haven't been able to clean up since Rich and his coworkers came over to drink last night. The house really is such a mess right now. It really is in no condition for you to see it. What did you just say to me? It's already well into the afternoon, and you're telling me that you still haven't cleaned a mess that has been there since yesterday? Are you just trying to make me lose my temper? The thing is that I've had this fever since yesterday. But Rich wanted to hang out with his friends at our home. I was so busy making sure there was always food and drink ready, and by the end I was just so exhausted. So, you made my son start his day off in a filthy home. I really don't know where you get off, young lady. What you are doing is unforgivable. How can you call yourself his wife if you can't even handle the most basic housekeeping? You should be ashamed of yourself. Have you been listening to a single word that I've said this whole time? I just finished telling you that even though I had a fever, not only did I make sure the housework was finished, but I also hosted a night of drinking. And that's exactly what a good wife should do. Don't go patting yourself on the back for doing the bare minimum. Now, get your butt out of bed and start cleaning the house. And I swear that if the whole place is not sparkling clean by the time I get there, I really will make Richard divorce you. That is why I'm asking you, please, to not come over today. I really just do not have the energy for anything today.
Hey, just how long do you plan to keep lazing about the house, huh? I heard all about what you've been up to from my mom. Like about how when she got to our place you were passed out on the floor? And that you even made her play along with your little pretending to the point that you had her call you an ambulance?
Well, your mom told me that she was coming over and that I should clean the house before she arrived. And as soon as I stood up, I felt lightheaded and passed out. I tried to ask your mom not to come over yesterday, but she had already made up her mind. She forced her way inside with a spare key that she already had made. But I guess, thanks to that, she found me on the floor and called for help.
Uh-huh. Well, she also told me about how the place was still a wreck because you didn't clean up after my party. How could you let her walk into our house and see that? And even after I told you that the house better be clean by the time I get back. Well, it is a good thing my mom caught you and saw just how lazy you really are when no one is home.
Really? You're saying that even after all I did to make sure you and your coworkers had everything you needed the other night? You sound just like your mother right now, do you know that? By the time I got to the hospital, my fever was already at 105.
And that serves you right. Thanks to your laziness, I had to go to work without any breakfast this morning. You're just lucky that I'm gonna go out drinking with the guys again tonight, so I'm all set for food. Even still, I'm just in shock over the state you're leaving our house in. It's disgusting.
Look, Richard, you made the mess, so you clean it up.
Excuse me? What did you just say? Is this any way to talk to someone who's been so kind to you while you've been so sick? It's only a 105-degree fever, and you're using that as an excuse to go to the hospital and not get any work done around the house? I don't care if you're checked in already. If you don't turn around, come back home, and get that house clean by the time I get home, then we are through.
Okay then, we're through. Let's get a divorce.
Wait, what?
No, you're right. It's better this way. All being with you has ever brought me is stress, stress, and more stress. I'm sick of you always treating me like a slave. Let's just get this over with and divorce.
Wait, hold on a minute. Are you being serious?
Of course I am. I'm just doing what you suggested. As soon as I'm out of the hospital, I'll start filing the paperwork so that we can make it official. Goodbye, Richard.
Hey, you know I'll take you back anytime you want. So just quit this stubborn act and come home already.
Excuse me? You want me to come back? Are you sure you aren't just missing having a slave to boss around? What a joke. But I'm much too happy living a fantastic life without you, thanks.
What? You mean you're okay with not being with me anymore?
Well, duh. In fact, now that I'm away from you, I'm feeling the best I have in years. Divorcing you was one of the best decisions I've ever made. Now I can't even remember what made me want to marry you in the first place.
But you never seemed to be upset when you were here. Did you find a job or something already? I thought you couldn't live without me and my job.
Wow, I can't believe I'm still having to explain this to you. I worked from home. I've always had my own job and my own income. You really are the worst, you know. I don't think you have ever once really listened to a thing I have tried to tell you.
Wait, so you were being serious about the working from home? So then you're just really living your life just fine without me there?
Oh, it's much more than that. Without you here, I've been living my best life. Life is much easier without having you around making messes all over the place for me to clean up. This is the best I have felt in years.
Come on, how can you say something like that? Please, Sally, just come home now. The house is such a mess. And since I'm a man, I just don't know how to cook or keep the house clean. It's just not the same without you. So please, can you at least come over now and then to at least take care of the house?
Are you even listening to yourself? Do you have any brain cells left in there, or did you drink them all away? Give me one reason why I would ever want to go and clean up after someone as awful as yourself. And besides, you think you're physically incapable of cooking just because you're a man? Man or woman, we're all human.
But I've never had to cook in my entire life. And of course I've never cleaned a house or anything like that either. So please, just come over and show me some of the basics.
Do you think somebody sat me down and taught me how to do all those things? Why don't you just try using what precious little brains you have left? The reason you don't know how to cook is because not once in your life have you ever had to cook for yourself. So why don't you show a little more gratitude to the people in your life that you've had who have always cooked for you?
That's what I've been trying to say. Cooking is a woman's job. That's why I never have, never will, and shouldn't have to do it.
Well, then I guess you'll just have to starve until you meet someone else, won't you? But really, do you not think that there aren't men out there who live on their own and do their own cooking? You don't think it's just a little old-fashioned to think that it's a woman's job to cook and clean? All you're doing is making up excuses about how you can't do anything for yourself.
Well, it's not my fault. I never had to do anything like that growing up, so I don't know how to do it now.
Well, I guess you have to do it now, so you better start learning. Honestly, what did you think you were going to get out of all these pathetic crocodile tears? And besides, didn't you always used to say that housework was some of the easiest work there was?
Well, obviously, if I really put my mind to it, I could, but...
But what? What else could you possibly have to say beyond that? Why am I even asking? I literally don't care what happens to you or your life. So please stop messaging me.
Wait, please, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have treated you like that. But I really can't do these chores. Please help me. You're the only person I can go to for help now.
No. You really shouldn't think of me as someone who will ever be willing to help you again. I think that should be pretty obvious after all the different ways you've thrown the work I did back in my face. Maybe all this time alone with yourself will finally let you see how powerless you are without people around to clean up after you. After that, I blocked Richard on every medium I could think of. And Richard finally realized that he had lost the one person he had become accustomed to calling for help. I never told him where I moved, so he could never follow me or bother me in person again. I'm sure every day his apartment just gets messier and messier. It's probably nearly uninhabitable by now. As for me, I found an amazing man not long after leaving Richard. In fact, we're already talking about getting married. He's very supportive and helps me out around the house all the time, cooking and cleaning. There is really nothing more pathetic than a man who can't even take care of himself.